You're welcome to another interesting edition of the Family Clinic. There's going to be a special edition today because I'll be having an interaction with a medical personnel in the house. You're very much welcome, sir. Can we meet you?
My name is Dr.Sanya Bodunde Michael. I'm a medical doctor, a medical officer in this facility, St. John and Hospital, here in Akure.
Thank you very much, sir. Without much ado, we'll be going straight to the questions that we have here concerning genotype. Sir, what is genotype?
Genotype, in a broad term, can be said to be or defined as the genetic makeup of an individual. Because the genes, the total makeup of individual or is different genes in an individual. However, I'm quite sure maybe the question would have been hemoglobin genotype, because when you talk about genotype, it's a very broad topic on its own. Each component or each element or pigment of the body has a genetic makeup. The hair, the strand of our hair, to the even one of the very common chemicals in the body, insulin, which is an hormone, to even what would I call it now? Even the color of your eyes, they are all make up of genes, and there are total number of genes in this part of each different part of the body, like I said earlier. So the genetic makeup or the total number of those genes is what we call the genotype. So the red blood cell on its own has a pigment called hemoglobin, and it has a genetic makeup. In the hemoglobin gene, there are different types, but I'll mention a few, and the few ones I'll mention are the common ones. We have the AA genotype, which is, you can say, is the normal genotype. You have the other types of genotype, so that's the AS, the SC, the AC, and we even have some very rare ones. We have AD, we have BD, we have AO and all those, but those are extremely very, very rare.
Can you really do a matching for a perfect relationship for us, and what genotype can marry or go into a relationship with this particular genotype and they won't have issues afterwards?
To be very direct with that question, I would say the AA are the most, or let me say, you don't use the word most perfect, or they are the perfect of any genotype regarding the hemoglobin that anyone would probably desire. However, genotypes such as AS, AC, they tend to be relatively okay. I use the word relative because sometimes if they are even being pushed to the extreme, they can exhibit little traits or little symptoms of what the SS trait or SS sickle cell disease rather, which is the SS genotype, do exhibit sometimes. Although it can also be very, very rare. But if they are pushed to the extreme, they can exhibit some of those symptoms. That's why I said it is relatively okay. But the best is the AA genotype.
This hemoglobin genotype SC, is it the same thing as SS?
Yes, by definition, and also by by exhibition of the symptoms, because they both will exhibit the same symptoms. When we talk about the sickle cell disease itself, sickle cell disease is abnormal red blood cell or deformed red blood cell that is as a result of abnormalities to the red blood cell pigment itself, which has resulted from the abnormal, what's it called now, genotype, which is the SS or SC. They, in terms of definition and even exhibition of symptoms, they are same. Although in exhibiting the symptoms, the severity can be different from each other. It is more severe. To be specific, can be more severe in the SS than the SC, but they exhibit same symptom. In doing the genetic mapping, this will surely carry a risk. If you do a genetic mapping of AC, splitting into two, AC, and SC, splitting into two, SC, if you cross match them, their probability, in fact, AC and SC, significant probability that they will have children that will come down with sickle cell disease. It will be of best interest to both of them to not get married. Best interest, because they have 50% of having children or any of their children. And when I mean 50%, it does not mean the first they can have the first two children. Probably one is AS, another one is AC. Those are sickle. They will just have sickle cell trait. They don't have sickle cell disease. You understand? However, the first two can also be sickle cell disease. I've seen, or let's say they have 3 children. Out of the 3 children, 2 can be sickle cell disease, while 1 can just be a sickle cell trait child. In actual, what will I say now? Practicality, it is possible, and it is possible simply because maturity or growth or development, let me do the word maturity, comes with a lot of things. Understanding oneself, understanding one's environment. Understanding oneself also includes understanding your health status. In with regards to this, some diseases also, such as asthma, children who probably were born with asthma, or let's say they are asthmatic, tend to probably understand the risk, or what I call it, the factors that trigger some of those symptoms or crises in them. So as they grow up, also in sickle cell disease, or children with sickle cell disease, as they grow up, they tend to understand the disease themselves. They tend to understand what they are meant to do, what they ought not to do, or what they are meant not to do. At the end of the day, they tend to understand the illness better, trying to take care of themselves, the improvement in their personal hygiene, and every other thing. Eventually, this will result in them having less crisis, or even having less severe form of their crisis. So there is no evidence that has been laid down, or that I know about as it is now, that shows that sickle cell disease children, by the time they grow up, they tend to do better. In terms of the constitution of the disease itself, no, I haven't heard of any. However, like I said, because of the improvement in so many areas, self-awareness, improvement in personal hygiene, understanding your environment, because there are factors that trigger those crises themselves, like extreme of temperatures, like malaria, like any form of other diseases that can trigger this. So if they tend to understand this, they will address whatever problem that can get them to come down with sickle cell crisis, or lead them to having more severe form of the crisis. They tend to resolve or solve them before it even gets to that point of getting admitted or a severe form of the illness. This this particular case still takes us back to the origin of the problem itself. It's a genetic makeup. It's in their, what will I call it? It's in their system. Let me use that word. It's in their cell. It's in their DNA. Do you understand? It is within them already. Hmm? There is there is no form of treatment as it is now. Have heard of and I've read of bone marrow transplant. It is not yet a routine treatment. Hmm? And the success rate is not yet, in terms of number, good enough for ones to start, for ones to beat his chest that, oh, people can now go for bone marrow transplant and get sickle cell treated and all those. The success rate is still a bit minimal, and there's still a lot of challenges, and it's still not yet approved in so many places, because transplant itself has a lot of side effects. Bone marrow transplant is a big challenge on its own. So there's no established cure for sickle cell disease. So with this, one should not be too expectant of any particular therapeutic, or what will I say, curative measure or form for any sickle cell disease.
Thank you very much, sir. It's been wonderful having you on the program today. And I believe that we have another opportunity of bringing you up. You will oblige us, sir.
You will always be welcome anytime.
Thank you, sir. And this is where we shall be bringing to a close the program for tonight. I hope we're going to do this together come next Sunday, when we shall be coming up with another interesting topic, an issue that is relating to relationship and marriage. Thank you and God bless you.